Our past experiences are charged with emotion. That energetics of the emotion is encoded in our neurology, in the fibers of our body. And so when we're in the present looking to take action, 95% of our actions are driven by the subconscious. And the subconscious is held and fed by the neurology.
Carrie and I have been going back and forth trying to connect our schedules in order to do this interview for you. I think the timing of this interview is perfect. On this week's episode, I'm joined by Carrie Baquie. She is a holistic strategist and certified master practitioner in NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy, specializing in helping women break free from the emotional patterns that sabotage their well-being. As we all are coming back from summer vacation, kids are back at school, we just settle into a routine, but feel like something is missing. We are not being true to ourselves. Carrie's message so aligns with what I've been speaking about on previous podcasts. Take a moment to have a listen how Carrie explains the root of self-sabotaging practices that limit us from moving forward with our lives. She also hosts a monthly interactive masterclass that you can be a part of. To learn more, check out the show notes. But for now, here's my conversation with Carrie. Welcome, everyone. I am joined today with a very special guest. Carrie Baquie is a holistic strategist and certified master practitioner in NLP. And we're going to get into what NLP stands for in a moment. Timeline therapy and hypnotherapy, specializing in helping women break free from the emotional patterns that sabotage their well-being. After surviving a life-altering illness that left her on the edge for years, holding on for life, Carrie rebuilt her health, her life from the inside out, combining deep subconscious healing with practical lifestyle alignment. Today, she helps high-achieving midlife women reclaim their vitality by addressing the root causes of stress, burnout, and self-silencing. Through her wildly whole method, Carrie integrates mind-body-soul transformation with real-world strategies, empowering women to step into alignment, energized, and deeply fulfilling lives. Carrie brings compassion, clarity, and no-fluff approach to healing grounded in science, soul, and personal experience. Welcome, Carrie. I'm so looking forward to this interview.
Oh my gosh. Hi there, Vicki. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's quite the accomplishment. And as I said, NLP, what does that stand for?
So that is Neurolinguistic programming. And it's a mouthful, right? So
Yeah.
we shorten it to NLP. It is work that is based on how our neurology shapes our thoughts, words, and actions,
Okay.
and how in turn you can reshape, and rewire your neurology with how you think, act, and speak. So it's a circle. It's a little bit of a circle. They feed each other.
So speak, act, and think. So when you told me what it meant, neuro-linguistic, and I thought linguistic, like that's language. What does that have to do with any? I mean, it has to do with a lot, but with mental health. And you just said it.
The language reflects what we're thinking, and what our thinking reflects what's encoded in our body by our past experiences. So our past experiences are charged with emotion. That energetics of the emotion is encoded in our neurology, in the fibers of our body. And so when we're in the present looking to take action, 95% of our actions are driven by the subconscious. And the subconscious is held and fed by the neurology. So let's look, you're 5 years old and you are playing ball in the yard and your ball goes bouncing out across the street. and you start chasing after it. And your mom freaks out and screaming at you, no, no, no. She's so terrified that you're going to get hit by a car. You, in turn, are terrified. You have this moment of, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? You don't understand, but there's that highly charged emotion that's in your body. And so you feel like you've disappointed, or you have these ways that you've interpreted as a 5-year-old that may not be what an adult would have interpreted, but you have these interpretations that gets encoded into your neurology and shapes future behaviors. After that, you did not chase the ball into the street. After that, you knew to get your mom to, and while we're adults and we know not to go into play in the street, right? But that's because of our past experiences, what we have learned. And so, if you take your neurology, the nerves in our body that weave throughout our body, if you could put a fluid into all the nerves of our body, and then you took away everything else, you would still have the outline and the full shape of our body. Our nerves are everywhere. Our neurons are shaping everything that we do. And so the work of NLP is going to the root cause of that experience that has shaped. So when you're 5 and you got yelled at for crossing the street, however that's manifested into the current and is blocking you from taking action because you're afraid of maybe of being yelled at or being judged or getting in trouble. We're going to that root cause event. We're clearing it out. And then as we clear it out with the NLP, then we're replacing it with the behaviors that you want to be doing to become who you want to become.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. But sometimes it's hard to recognize. I mean, you're giving us a simple analogy, but like something that happened in our past that affects us moving forward or hinders us from moving forward, or, our thought patterns, our decision making. So, there's got to be ways to bring that out because we don't always know that, and that's something that you're able to do.
There's 2 pieces of it. First, there's the assessment. When I begin working with my clients, we do a deep dive, and that deep dive looks at what are they wanting? What are they trying to do and not being able to make progress on? So someone's trying to lose weight and they're trying to get healthy. And so they know intellectually they've got to take their supplements, or they know intellectually that they need to go to the gym, or they know intellectually that those 4 cookies that they ate for breakfast aren't the right option. But there's the neurology and their past experiences are driving them to that. But they may not be able to understand why. In the assessment, we're first establishing what they want, what their goals are, and then we're digging into what's getting in the way. And so it's like a 90-minute assessment. And so we go pretty deep. And in that assessment, we can really get to some of the foundations of what's feeding into the behavior. Now, that's one piece. The second piece is the beauty of NLP is when you're doing NLP and the conjunctive tool, which is timeline therapy, you don't need to know the root event. So you don't need to say, oh, that's because I got yelled at when I was chasing the ball across the street. You don't need to know that because your subconscious knows and you're working with the subconscious. And so you're allowing the gift of the subconscious to take you back to that root event. And sometimes you won't even be able to name that event, but you'll be able to experience the lessons of that event.
Well, it's wrapped up in your emotions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you might not remember the exact words or the incident, but you remember how you felt.
And what's really special about NLP is there's a lot of people, therapists, for example, who will take you back to a moment of hardship, challenge, or trauma. And you may really experience that trauma again. You may feel the flush of those emotions. What I love about NLP is you can go back to the root cause without being in the emotion. So you're not re-experiencing the emotion, rather you're discharging the emotion. And in discharging the emotion, you're then taking the wisdom. What are the learnings so that you can move forward and not lose the wisdom of that experience?
So then when people are coming to you, the 90-minute program, what are some results? Like, give us some testimonies of how people have moved forward, how things have changed for them. So results.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, just to be clear, the assessment is the starting point to understand where we need to go from. And so, if you take someone who, let's just go with the example of intellectually knowing what you need to do to lose weight. I've had clients where they go through this process and they're removing the emotional charge of things that were keeping them stuck. And without getting too personal, sometimes it's the emotion we've been taught to soothe ourselves with. And so learning the wisdom of why we turn to food. And so we clear away whatever that event is that taught us that. And then we have that cleared neurology, and now we're putting in the behaviors. So it's not like you're not like going to go from eating 4 cookies at breakfast to all salads and fruits and vegetables, right? It's not like that, but you no longer have that draw. You can put in the behaviors so that you no longer need that crutch of food. You have new behaviors for the self-soothing, right?
Yeah, no, I was just, when you're saying that, I was just thinking of someone I know and, going on a weight loss program, did really, really well. And then something happens in her marriage, a disagreement, or something happened at work, a disagreement. And then where does she go to get, like you said, satisfaction or self-soothing? Food. And so she'll
Yeah.
eat like a whole bag of cookies or, candy or whatever's in the house at the time. And then she just self-sabotages all that effort that she, put in prior to. And then she goes downhill and she has trouble getting back on track to, yeah, whatever she was doing prior with that lifestyle skill to, keep losing weight. But yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I mean, weight loss is a big issue for many women, especially belly fat, midlife women, hormone imbalances. And yeah, so there's ways that we can address that through emotional stress.
Yes. So discharging the emotional stress from the past that's affecting our present so we can move into the future. One of the things that I want to really point out is that in the example of your friend, there's the surface level self-soothing activities, but the trigger is disagreements, whether it's with the husband or with someone at work. And underneath that is one of 4 core things. One, you feel powerless. 2, you feel unlovable. 3, you feel not enough. Or 4, you're unworthy. And those are the 4 things that will really drive sabotaging behaviors. And so in the NLP work, we're not just going to the self-soothing behaviors, we're going down to the root of those 4 things. Which is the predominant thing?
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. You're bang on. So true. So true. Unworthy, unlovable, low self-esteem, like you're saying. So yeah, no, so true. So true. And it's not the food or the self-soothing, but it's triggering other emotions. Wow, that's really good. And something else, like when I'm sort of read your bio, so this is what you do. This is how you help women to, live a life aligned, as you said, or energized and deeply fulfilling. But when you were living on the edge, like this is coming from your own personal experience. And do you feel comfortable sharing a little bit about that? So it just, you know what you're talking about, in other words.
I think it's a really important part of the story. And I think there's a lot of women and men out there who have dealt with some level of illness. And for me, I was so desperately ill. I was originally misdiagnosed at the age of 43 with early onset dementia. And we can tell from this conversation that fortunately it was a misdiagnosis. And I got to tell you, even though it was a misdiagnosis, boy, was that a pivotal moment in my life when I heard those words from my doctor's mouth. And what it turned out to be took about 2 years to find out that it was actually Lyme and mold mimicking the appearance of dementia. It was Lyme, mold, and brain injury that came together for me, really put me in a really tough spot. And what I want to say about that is while my illnesses were very real and tangible, 100%, there was things in my life leading up to when I got sick that were trying to tell me I was out of alignment. And what I would love to share, and I see you nodding your head, and so I think you can connect with this, is that physical unwellness and physical illness are really the last indicators of misalignment in your life. So when you're not living, for example, your soul purpose, or you're not living in alignment with your values, your spirit, however you consider your spirit, the energetic piece of who you are starts whispering to you. It whispers through your thoughts, it whispers through your emotions, it whispers through how you feel in your space. And then the whispers get louder when you don't listen, and they get louder. And then they're like, oh my God, she really isn't listening. And it starts coming out in the body.
I was just going to say it manifests physically for sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as women, aren't we great at suppressing all
Yeah.
this emotion, or we're just feeling off and we just, oh, well, I just didn't sleep very well last night. I'm just tired. The kids have this or the grandkids have that. And I'm busy, work demands, and we always put ourselves last. So yeah, kudos to you. So how did they diagnose early onset dementia? Is it a blood test? Is it a brain scan? How do they diagnose that?
It was so there was some brain scans and there was the attributes of what I was experiencing in terms of memory loss and
So
communication and
symptoms, kind of
symptoms. Yep.
symptoms. Okay. Did they give you anything for that? Any
So
medication or?
the irony is that I was working with one doctor and then I wanted a second opinion. And in getting the second opinion, I was told it's not a question of if dementia, but which dementia. And so then we needed to do more testing. So we did much more testing. And in that process, one of the procedures I had a really bad reaction to. And it's almost in the bad reaction to that procedure that they're like, oh, this isn't dementia, this is something else. So it was a wild ride. And
At
I
43, you
never,
said 43,
43,
you went through this.
43.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. And
So
it went for about four years.
oh my goodness. And then you're leading up to perimenopause as well, like 48
Mm-hmm.
after the 4
Mm-hmm.
years. So your body's changing and shifting, and hormones are doing what hormones like to do. Interesting you say that, because and I think it's going to drop in 2 weeks or something. I just did a podcast on a lady that was misdiagnosed with early onset dementia. So interesting that
Mm-hmm.
you're telling me this. And she always felt that it was long COVID. Anyway, it's been a year, a little bit more than a year, and now they're saying, no, it's not early onset dementia, but she's still struggling. And so, yeah, like that just turns your world upside down. So, I want to say thank you for what you're doing, because it's not just you taking a course and helping women, but you've lived this
Mm-hmm.
and
Absolutely.
and you can identify not that we always need to identify to help people, but you have a knowledge about it, you have an insight about it. And yeah, no, I'm so happy to hear what you're doing. Now, do you want to just talk a little bit about your program and how people can reach out to you? This was great information, but I want people to stay in touch with you. And I know you
Yeah.
have the Wildly Hold method, so that sounds
Yeah.
pretty wild. So
Yeah.
love to hear about that.
Well, the wildly whole woman is really about what we were talking just a few moments ago. We're talking about how women suppress a lot and they hold back a lot. And part of what's going on there is women being shaped and managed by social influences, social expectations, family expectations, all of these layers and layers and layers of telling them who they're supposed to be. And the women that I'm working with are midlife women predominantly, and they've gotten to a point where they're like, the kids are grown, they've been in the career for 20 years. They're like, what now? Is this it? And they're starting to feel like this isn't me. Who am I? And they're wondering, how did I get here? And they didn't do anything wrong. They followed the path that was laid out, and they did all the things that they thought they were meant to do, and they were great, but they're missing a part of themselves. And it's not about going out there into the into external to regain wholeness. It's about taking off the layers of expectation, the patterns of people pleasing, and really reconnecting and realigning with their spirit, their soul, their essence. And so that's the work that we do in Wildly Whole Women.
And so finding your true self, what resonates with you, what you enjoy, and not like we're so inundated with social media. And then, we compare, like, oh, her life is like this. Oh, and then you either feel jealous or
We're taught to
disappointed.
compare.
Oh, that too, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. And so we feel insignificant because we're, keeping up with the Joneses, let's say, so we start feeling insignificant when we start comparing. But no, like you're saying, find out who you are, your true values, and live your life according to you and not to what everyone else is telling you to do. But also take control of those trigger points too. What
Yes. And
triggers
what I
you?
was going to, yeah, exactly. And what I was going to say is as you're finding your true self, part of it is releasing that unworthiness, releasing
Mm.
that powerlessness,
Yep.
that not enoughness, right? So
Yep.
that piece is totally pivotal to experiencing the wholeness and the wildly free being
Yeah.
that you hope
Now,
for.
what would you say though, like someone's in a, it's not necessarily abusive marriage, but not a very supportive marriage. And you're trying to spread your wings a little bit, but then you come home and those wings keep getting clipped. I mean, you love your partner and yeah, so what do you say? You're trying to, like I said, spread your wings, but how do you sort of navigate stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think that's a pretty complex, can be pretty complex because you've gotten into that situation for a variety of reasons, and often it's about people pleasing and more importantly about boundaries. And so it's about working with first an awareness. We can't act until we have the awareness. So it's awareness, acceptance, action. And so building awareness of what boundaries are missing and what needs to be built up. And, with the NLP, there's often reasons why those boundaries are missing with root cause events that said, oh, it's not safe to have those boundaries, right? So you're working to build those boundaries,
Like you said, it's
change the
complex.
relationship.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
complex.
yeah,
And so, yeah, but there is a plan forward. So you can
yeah,
work
yeah,
through it. And
yeah,
yeah, and again, depends at the end of the day, what's your goals? Where do you want to see yourself in 6 months, a year, 2 years?
yeah,
And
yeah.
being true to who you are internally, for sure, for sure. And don't let those triggers hinder you from expressing yourself
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you were asking about the Wildly Whole Woman. I think I've shared a little bit about that, but I also have a free offering, a masterclass, and it's kind of got a fun name. It's called Misaligned AF: Why You Still Aren't Feeling Like Yourself and How to Fix It. I'm offering those this coming month, and I'll be offering them throughout the fall. I have 3 classes in August, and I'll probably have another one to 3 in September, and then moving forward in the
Great.
fall.
So are they like webinars that you sign up
So
for?
you do sign up for them, but I want to clarify that they're not webinars because I value the interaction with the audience. So they're highly interactive. So I expect the camera on, I expect engagement, and that's part of the learning process. So it's not you sitting at a computer just trying to keep your eyes open as someone
Head
yaps at
bobbing.
you.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, excellent, excellent. So then let's get your information. It'll be in the show notes. People want to connect with you, sign up for your newsletter. Very good, Carrie. I'm really, really excited to see the growth with that program. That sounds wonderful. Do you have any last words for our audience?
Yeah, I think the last words are about, so much of your work is about helping your audience members step into their health, to embrace their health. And so often the question is, what's wrong with me? And I think that's a mistake. You're doing so much right. You're doing so many good things. It's time to celebrate who you are and what you're doing. If you're showing up listening to this podcast, you're one step closer to doing and becoming who you want to become.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Check out Carrie Baquie. Information in the show notes, and I hope you connect with her. If you're struggling or you find you're just not expressing yourself like you used to, then yeah, check out Carrie's note, and I think I might take part in one of your sessions.
Amazing, amazing. Vicki, this has been so good.
It has. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for making a dent in the world.
Thank you.
All right. I am so appreciative of the work Carrie is doing with helping women move forward and stop feeling stuck, getting to the emotional root. She's not only a therapist, but she's been there from personal experience, and now she wants to help others take back their lives. Check out the show notes if you want to be a part of her next masterclass. She holds them once a month. Check out the show notes for how to get in touch with her. Now, I started these podcasts because I was tired of hearing and watching the wrong people advocating for different health issues or concerns with no follow-up and no accountability and no support. I wanted to put some clarity into your wellness decisions and to support your wellness journey with practical tips and advice. You can find all my details in the show notes as well. If you enjoyed this video and the information, feel free to share it with a friend. Give me a like, a subscribe, leave a comment. I look at all the comments. Every time you interact with this channel, you are helping it to grow, and it is greatly appreciated.